then, folks, here is David L. Bazooka Katzenbogen in package. Arrived today, the Tiger Force edition of this figure, number 54 in the G.I. Joe Classified Series main line. Very pleased to have this one in hand. I was a little indecisive. I have to confess, I was a bit like, ooh, do I wait until we get a proper orange t-shirt one? And I was impatient. Number one. And number two, I was kind of so happy with my Tiger Force Outback with the slightly different look and feel, the variation, on the main look, but with the different t-shirt and what have you, that I thought, no, Outback needs a buddy, a Tiger Force buddy. And I kind of sort of like the orange text on the white t-shirt and the Tiger Force stripes on this dude's pants. So yeah, I'm going to go for it. And it means it's unlikely that I'll probably pick up a standard look bazooka, but that's fine. That's fine. It would be just like back in the 80s when I could only afford one or the other. So here we go. Here he is in box anyway, and let's get him unboxed and move on to the review section. So it's a windowed box, not moved to windowless just yet with bazooka, so we can see the figure and all the included goodies. We've got, like normal, a bit of artwork down the side here. That's quite a nice dynamic piece of work. Bazooka there, just, I don't know, is that him getting forced backwards from the recoil of his bazooka, or has he just leapt down from a piece of high ground and decided just to let a rocket loose while on the fall? I don't know. If that is the case, then that's wildly impractical, and as dynamic and action-filled as this picture is, it's not very realistic. If it's the recoil, then, well, again, you want to do something about that bazooka. That's not very practical when you're in the battlefield, but still, it's a lovely piece of artwork. I love the colour scheme and the effects, and yeah, it just sits really well on the packaging. Very happy with that. And that artwork continues onto the side. Yes, look at that lovely bit of artwork on the side there. Very 80s action hero bazooka, just casually walking away unfazed by the chaos and carnage that he has just caused with his bazooka behind him. Absolutely tremendous. Look at the tash featuring very heavily, of course, all the way down there to, what's this? Is that like some, like a bit of Cobra tank debris as a result of his bazooka action there. So very good. So there's one side. Then on the other side, it's the data card side. We've got number 54 in the line. And then if we take a look, you can see the data card information there. You can compare that with the info on the website. But it looks here like Bazooka is a fan of the Dr. Strangegood movie. What's that? Lollipop? Likes lollipops. He's a fan of Miss Dynamite, the 90s mega superstar, of course, in R&B and pop. And then what's that? That's like he doesn't like Russell Crowe. That's a Gladiator helmet. He's obviously not a fan of the Ridley Scott classic, again from the 90s. Probably not enough grenades and rockets in it for him. So there you go. There's the data card. And then on the back, it's the Tiger Force back. So it's got this kind of weird jungle scene with zoomed in bits. I've never been quite able to suss out what they're going for here, but it looks like there's some key features within the jungle that have been identified and clocked. Maybe these are targets for sabotage or something. Tiger Force here. Oh, that was on the front as well, just over here, letting us know it's from the Tiger Force subline. All the legal bollocks at the bottom there. More legal bollocks at the very bottom there. The number again, and the G.I. Joe symbol on the top. Right, let's get Bazooka open then, shall we? So I'm going to go in from the bottom here. I've already split the tape in preparation for this. There's usually a bit of, yes, there it is, the paperwork. So let's slide Bazooka out there. Bazooka has a Tiger Force backing card, obviously because it's the Tiger Force version of the figure. I've already got one of these because, well, I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure Outback came with one of those. And then here we go. Here's the figure in his blister pack. We've got his backpack here. That looks interesting. Oh, I see what's going on there. Yep. We've got his big old bazooka. Oh, with a bit that comes off at the back here. Oh, I see. Oh, very clever. That's retro, that is. But yeah, there's the bazooka. Then we've got 4 rockets. Oh, one of which I've... Look. It's all mangled. That's a shame, innit? Yeah. Whoa! Where did that go? Oh my goodness. Oh wow, these rockets are an absolute mission to remove from the packaging. So there was 4, but as you just saw, one of them has sprung out of the packaging, flew right over my right shoulder here, and I can't find where it's landed. I'm afraid to move around in my wheelie chair in case I drive over it and flatten it. Right, we'll have a proper look for that in a minute. But then we got his helmet. And then, oh, come on, Bazooka. Out you come. That's a good lad. We have, oh, I hate that noise. There we go. The figure himself. And here we are then, folks. Here is the Tiger Force Bazooka and all his goodies out of the packet. I'm going to go away and, as usual, have some man-child playtime, do some posing up, get hands-on with the figure, and then in a couple of days' time, I'll be back to offer a few review thoughts to help you out if you're thinking about picking one up for yourself. So, right, so for me, it'll be a couple of days then, but for you, I'll be back in 3, 2, 1... And here we are then. Here is Bazooka out of packaging. It's been a couple of days now since I recorded the unboxing section of the video that you've just taken a look at, and I'm now back and ready to share some thoughts. And if you're new around these parts and you've happened across my channel for the very first time today, let me just fill you in on what a MoDXtra games and collectibles action figure review looks like. It follows a very simple structure that I call the 3 A's. The first A is aesthetic. I'm going to be talking about and reviewing how the figure looks. What's the sculpt like? What are the paint applications like? What's the visual experience of the action figure? Then the second A is going to be articulation. Let's talk about how we can pose the figure. What kind of stances and shelf presence can we create in the articulation possibilities of the fig? And then finally, the third A is accessories and added value. What extra goodies do we get with the figure that's going to help us tell stories, make great displays, and have wonderful man-child playtime? And with all that said and done, hopefully, if you've been thinking about picking up a bazooka of your own, I'll have given you enough thoughts and ideas that you can make a decision as to whether this is the figure for you. So without delay, let's get started and let's talk a little bit about the aesthetic of Bazooka. Okay then, I brought Bazooka a little bit nearer to the camera so that we can get a closer feel for the finer details of the visual experience, and there's a lot to like about the aesthetic of this figure right out the gate. I mean, immediately from opening up the package, I was sold on the personality. You know, there's a lot of character and personality being sold through this figure, and it impacted on me straight away. I was like, oh, this guy's cheeky. This is a cheeky figure, this, I love it. So let me tell you about some of the pros and cons that I found with the aesthetic. The head sculpt, of course, is a big part of that storytelling, of that narrative that's selling the personality of the character and selling that cheekiness. The facial features, to begin with, are up to the usual G.I. Joe classified standard. You know, the chin, the cheekbones, the lips, the eyebrows, the forehead, the nose, the stash, all very well sculpted. The features there are top-notch, absolutely smashing the competition out the park, or certainly as far as other Hasbro lines go. So continue to see a really high quality of work taking place above the shoulders here. The paint applications are all super neat and tidy. The stash, the eyebrows, the eyes themselves. Although, I don't know if you can see up the top here, across the front of the hairline there, it's a little bit slapdash. There's a few sections of the hair that's not painted. Now, I'll be coming to it later on when I do the accessories. We've obviously got the helmet here. I'm not entirely sure whether it is a paint application problem in terms of, in the factory, or whether the hat, where the little groove that holds it tight along the front here, whether it's rubbed the paint off. I'm not sure. So just something of note and one thing to be mindful of, folks. So while I'm very happy with the paint applications from the forehead down, there is this little problem along that front hairline there that you can see. Maybe if I just sort of angle him ever so slightly up, you can see it a bit better there. So yeah, the paint applications are of a high standard, but I think the helmet may rub off. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and look at the footage when I unboxed him, but I don't remember that being like that when I first unpacked him. And then since I've had the helmet on and off quite a few times over the weekend and done various different poses, I've noticed that. However, of course, the other key thing about the facial features is that there's an expression going on. Once again, I'll reiterate, I think the G.I. Joe Classified team need to walk down the corridor and give some advice and share some best practice with the Marvel Legends team. Because look, we've got a little bit of a smirk on the side of the mouth. We've got the cheeky raised eyebrow. There's like a little bit of something going on. You can, and the eyes align with that raised eyebrow and that little smirk to tell a story. There's a narrative going on there. There's something happening, and I really love when that happens with the figures. I think they do a great job at G.I. Joe Classified on that front. Broadly speaking, the paint applications are good throughout the rest of the figure, although there are one or two little loosey-goosey bits that once you notice them, you can't stop looking at. Like you can see here on the stripe on the sleeve, slightly misaligned as they painted all the way around the figure and got to this side and went, oh, no, we're not straight. But you know what? That's fine. It just looks like a bit of a crease and a fold in the actual t-shirt. Gives it a bit of depth, a bit of texture. And while I'm mentioning depth and texture, you can see, of course, all the various creases and folds in the t-shirt. We can see that fabric texture in the combat pants that is traditional with the G.I. Joe Classified figures. The belt here is really nice. It's got that lovely painted buckle and the pockets and studs and holes. Although it is a bit annoying. It floats a bit and you have to quite often line it up to the belt line across the top of the trousers there. And it's a bit kind of surplus to requirements. It doesn't do anything. There's no gun holster or knife sheath or anything on it. However, I understand why it's there, because it's all part of the kind of framing of the character. He's got his wristbands as well, which add to that framing, so the colours are all nicely broken up. Of course, this is the Tiger Force version, so it's the white t-shirt with the orange and blue text and trimming, whereas traditionally it's the orange version of the football shirt with the number 14 on it. I kind of like this one. I mentioned before, in the same way as the Tiger Force Outback kind of caught my eye for a little bit of a different flavour. This has caught my eye for the same reasons, and I like that there's some kind of variation. I'll possibly not even pick up the mainline one after picking up this one. We've got the Tiger Force camo stripes in the pants there, and then we've got the brown boots here too. You'll notice aesthetically, I don't know if you can see there, but my boots, the legs, they're just slightly sticky outy. He's a bit curved, a bit bowed here. I'm not sure what that's all about. I don't know whether that's something to do with the way he was packaged or moulded, but nonetheless, the boots look great as well. Lots of texture, lots of stuff to give it a bit of a sheen, a little bit plasticky maybe. So visually, Bazooka, Tiger Force Bazooka, is actually a really interesting kind of experience on the eye. And the bright white t-shirt is something that stands out. I've been really struggling under the lighting here in my little lightbox area to get it right, so hopefully I'm not blinding you while you're watching this, folks, but it really gives him some shelf presence. Once again, I'm always a big fan of G.I. Joe Classified figures that sort of break up the colour palette within the display, and Bazooka strikes the right balance. He's got the kind of combat military look and feel, but then he's bringing his own personality, his own character to the field with him. And yes, there's a few paint applications that are a bit dodgy. The hairline, the bit on the sleeve there. I noticed something else, but I can't remember what it was. But overall, as you put him down, as you cast your eye over him, you're like, yeah, that's actually a really good-looking figure. Lots of good stuff going on there. And the face sculpt, I'm so into this cheeky little smirk with the raised eyebrow, even if it does make him look a little bit Freddy. You know what I'm saying? So there we are. There's the aesthetic qualities. Let's now talk a little bit about the articulation. And for the first time in a while, since I've been reviewing G.I. Joe Classified series figures, I can't say it's the standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation that we've come to know and love, because this one does have an ever so slight difference. Woohoo! So let's get started. We'll talk about the head here. It's the ball at the top and the ball at the bottom of the neck. So we've got some down, we've got some up, there's some tilt, and some, all the way around like so. There we are. So, yeah, good head articulation. Mine was a bit stiff out the packet. Got the hairdryer on him, which loosened it up a little bit, but it does restrict. It still feels a bit tight there. You can sort of see the head springing back. But the articulation is there, and once it loosens up, it will be fine. Then the butterfly joint in the shoulder. I like this type of butterfly joint in particular. Gives a lot of motion forward and back, which is useful. Then hinge at the shoulder, which gives you the T shape. Lovely jubbly. Hinge at the top of the bicep and tricep. We can go all the way round like so. Lovely pinless elbow joint, which gets you up to there. Oh, there we are. There's that other sloppy paint application. You remember I said before, I noticed another one and then forgot it in the moment when I was talking on mine. Well, I've found it again. There it is. There's a bit of green paint made its way onto the skin there on his forearm. But anyway, what was I talking about? I'm on articulation. Oh, yeah, so the wrist, yeah, peg in the hole. So we've got the swivel. And then both hands, the right and the left, have got the up and down hinge like so. Then into the torso, and you'll notice that we don't have the usual kind of, I don't know what you call it, that end cut one there like that. We've got this little cut across the bottom of the chest here. We've got some different torso articulation with Bazooka here, which is interesting. I'm not sure what the kind of motivating factor was there, which led them to make that decision. I suspect it's got something to do with, I don't know, the way he holds the bazooka. Something to do with articulating him in a way, so that there's more kind of swivel across the higher part of the torso there, to align with the way you might aim a bazooka. I don't know. Someone let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But this gives lots of motion across the top here. Although, as you can see, the more you swivel it, the less the continuity in the number 14 is disrupted. But there's definitely a lot of motion there. It does give you a bit of crunch forward. It does give you a bit of an angle back. So that's all there. Although obviously not quite as much as the one on the hinge that chunks all the way forward. And then we've got swivel at the waist as well. Let me get my fingers on the lower part of the torso to show you there. So yeah, you've got swivel on the waist as well, although that's a bit springy on mine. Then into the leg area, and now we're in much more familiar G.I. Joe Classified series territory. Got the drop-down joint in the hips, which give you your splits. Bazooka's definitely got the Russian ballet thing going on there. Decent forward. Up to about there. The back is restricted, as usual, by the curve of the arse cheek. We've then got thigh cut at the top of the thigh, giving you some swivel at the top there. Double knee, which gets you to there. Ooh, not all getting all the way up to the arse cheek with his heel there. Notice the pins on the knee. So pinless elbows, pin knees. Then we've got the boot cut at the top there, giving some swivel at the top of the boot. And then the standard hinge forward and back, and the rocker on the feet. Although this is now my second G.I. Joe Classified series figure of late that's got really tight hinges. Really tight hinges on the ankles, which has been a little bit frustrating. I've had the hairdryer on those and they're still feeling tight now, which can get in the way of your posability a little bit. So yeah, the articulation is good. It's great. It's G.I. Joe Classified series articulation. Lots of opportunity, lots of possibilities. I've been posing him up in loads of weird and wonderful positions with his bazooka, which I'll get to in a moment in the accessories section. He looks great in amongst the other figures as well. He's up to posable standard, so there's lots of opportunity for photographers, for diorama makers, for people looking for interesting displays. So no complaints on that front. The change in the torso articulation strikes me as a bit of an odd choice. I think I get it. I think it's to do with the bazooka and the positioning of the bazooka, but it does feel a little bit more limited in terms of ab crunch than it does compared to other figures, and I've been less inclined to use it because I don't like my 14 looking too misaligned, so that's something to bear in mind. If you're not so bothered by that, then that'll be okay for you, you know what I mean? But for me, yeah, I like my 14 to be straight. I don't know what to tell you. And so overall, yeah, articulation is very, very good. Up to the usual G.I. Joe Classified series standard. Thumbs up from MoDXtra on that front. So we're going well. Let's now talk about the accessories. Can anybody find me somebody to love? He's so Freddy. I love it. Subscribe to the channel and give me a like. Okay then, and first things up, we've got the helmet. This is a lovely helmet, this. After Dusty's recently, very impressed with what I'm looking at here. It's made out of that same sort of soft, rubbery material as previous helmets have been made from. It's a lovely sculpt. You can see lots of texture in there. Really gives it some character, gives it some life. Got the straps hanging down and the strap across the front, which is all nice. It's a good looking helmet. Fits on his head really well as well. Just bring it down across the top there, and that's a nice fit, nice tight fit, nice and straight. But as I mentioned before, I've got a feeling that front groove there that really clamps it down tight across that hairline, maybe what's rubbed that paint application off on the front there. But yeah, very solid helmet, good looking, good fit, nice sculpt, and not coming off anytime soon. And of course, who would Bazooka be without his, his bazooka? There it is. There's the bazooka, folks. Nope, it's not a euphemistic nickname that he was given across the bars and parlours of Saigon. No, he's called Bazooka because he's got a big old bazooka cannon. And here it is. It's a lovely sculpt. It's in the kind of military green colour, but we've got some slightly different coloured applied areas like the cushioning here. And here on both sides where it sits across his shoulder, and then the strap, lots of nice details. Got obviously the grip and the trigger there, but there's an extra control balance handle. There's a carry handle here, which also has another purpose. I'll show you with the backpack in a minute. We've got a compartment at the back of it here. This is interesting. So you can sort of swivel that up or even pop it off. Where one of the rockets fits. I know I've not shown you the rockets yet, but there they go. You can get a whole rocket in there like that. So that's your sort of loading compartment. So there's some nice photos you can take with him ready to fire a shot off, and one of his companions loading up his bazooka. What I will say, though, is this has been annoying me a bit. It pops off really easy. I've been knocking it off loads and popping it off loads, and it's been rolling under tables and cabinets and all sorts of stuff. It just takes the slightest... Well, now I'm on camera, it's not happening, of course, but yeah, I've been finding the bazooka end compartment here a bit of annoyance. It's not a very tight grip fit, and then this locking mechanism here, where we've got this little nubbin and a groove in there to sort of clamp it in, just doesn't hold it in tight enough. So I found that a bit annoying. So I may forego the compartment and just keep my rockets in his backpack and perhaps put a dab of glue on that. However, in terms of aesthetic, it's a lovely piece of work. Got lots of character, lots of personality. I know I've used those two words a lot to describe the bazooka, but it's true. Pops in the hand with the usual kind of poke and twist into the trigger there, and then you just align it up as you see fit across his shoulder like so. Then you've got 4 rockets in total for his bazooka. There's clearly, as I've just shown you, a compartment for one of the 4. The others fit into his backpack, which I'll show you imminently. But yeah, these again, nice sculpts in the matching kind of military green mould there, but we've got detail and the like on there. Word of warning to the wise, as you saw in the unboxing section of the video, be super careful when you're taking these out of the box, because I've ended up putting some stress marks on the front section here, where there was the kind of lip in the blister pack holding them in tight. I kind of popped them out a bit too aggressively, and I've ended up bending the fronts. Now I've bent them back, but now you can see the little stress marks on them. So if you're picking one up, be careful taking your rockets out, folks. And here's the backpack. So we've got the rocket compartments at the top here. Nice slots to slide them into. Big carry bag bit at the front there. Pockets and pouches on the sides. Single sculpted piece of plastic in the same matching colour as the bazooka and the rocket. Couple of hooks in the bottom here for the storage of the bazooka. I'll talk about that in a sec. But this is your rocket storage area, which is super straightforward. Slide your rocket in and then push it back into the little clamp area. Like so. Now what I will say is these are a little bit loose. You might remember, where's the other one? There it is. You might remember like Major Bloods and stuff. These are not very tight there, so I keep finding myself sort of knocking them loose like that, which is something to be mindful of. It's a peg at the back, which matches up to the peg hole in the back of bazooka. Same old routine, just pop the peg in the peg hole, and there you go. Backpack is loaded on the back. So the hooks here at the bottom of the backpack, they match up with the carry handle on the top of the bazooka. So with a bit of squeezing and fiddling, you can hang his bazooka across the bottom of his backpack like so, which is fine and great. But what I will say is that while you've got the bazooka on the back there, you've got no other weaponry to kit him up with. There's not a machete, a dagger, a small arms, a little submachine gun or a pistol, a handgun or something. He's got nothing else with him. So when you're storing the bazooka on the back, you're going to have to get into the bits box to find something else to put in his hands in the meantime. And I think that's a bit of an omission, actually. I feel like bazooka should have maybe come with some additional bits, and small arms make sense to me. What is he doing in the heat of battle when he's not shooting his bazooka off? How is he defending himself? He's not even got a knife to keep himself safe. So if the enemy gets too close, he's done for. He's going to get, hurt by his own area of effect of his weaponry. So I'd have liked, I don't know, a pistol holster, a little snub pistol maybe around the ankle, or a pistol on the thigh, or maybe a little bit of a dagger on the belt here. I don't know. I feel like a bit of small arms was an omission. There should have been a pistol or something, you know what I mean? But otherwise, yeah, there you go. There's the accessory selection all together. One other thing I will say is that once or twice when posing him up with the bazooka and the backpack on his back, I don't know if you can see there, the bazooka and the backpack do not interact very well, and that's when you end up, there you go, knocking off your little plasticky bit there. So I don't know if that's supposed to come off when he's firing it, maybe, or something. So it sits a bit shorter, and the backpack's not getting in the way. But I've found, this little corner here that sticks up over his shoulder is interfering with my ability to get him into some of the poses that I was trying to get him into, which is something of note. It's lessened by popping the back off here, but then I feel like it looks a bit kind of sheer and a bit severe, like sawn off at the back there. I don't know. Again, someone let me know in the comments down below, someone who's a bit more familiar with weaponry. Is that supposed to come off before you fire it anyway? And therefore it's accurate, and I just don't know that. But yeah, the shoulder alignment, you see there, if you get it right up on his shoulder, you're right in the space of the backpack here. Which also I think would be practically a bit daft, because surely then the kind of backfire would hit the rocket on his back. But anyway, I'm obviously thinking about it far too much. All I was trying to do was pose him up in some poses, and it couldn't happen while he was wearing the backpack. Of course, there's an easy fix for that. Take the backpack off. So, accessories-wise, I'm giving it a thumbs up, but with a little bit of small print, because I do think that I suppose it's more in the space of, all right, it's okay. Obviously, the bazooka, the rockets, the backpack, this is all part of the visual identity of the character. I mean, he's called Bazooka, for goodness sake. So they had to be included. They had to be there. And they look good. They look great. They're great sculpts. They've been thought through. There's some interesting engineering there. You can store them all on the figure. That's fabulous. I love the helmet. It's a great fit. It's a good-looking helmet. It's well sculpted, little splash of colour. I like that little kind of reddy, orangey tone to it there. And it helps, again, frame up the colour scheme of the character, which gives the visual aesthetic another dimension, another element. So all on board with that. I just think the selection of accessories is a bit more limited, especially after I've just had Crimson Guards that have got swords and pistols and knives and rifles and backpacks and everything else. It's a bit limited. He's a bit more in the kind of Tomax and Zaymot space. So it's the right accessories to have with him. It's a good selection of accessories. There is nothing wrong with them at all. In fact, they're great. I just think there should have been a little bit more, a little bit something else. Because the story of the character doesn't make sense without a bit of small arms. How does he defend himself when the enemy gets too close? Or maybe that's the point. Maybe he's just so good with this bazooka, and those 4 rockets are sufficient to eliminate an entire, platoon of Cobra Vipers that you don't need. You don't need no small arms. He's taken care of them before they're even anywhere nearby. I don't know. So yeah, it's a thumbs up. I'm happy with what we've got, and I think they're interesting. They tell a story. There's loads of posability and display options with them. I just think there should have been a knife, a pistol, if not both, or something else a bit more. I'm not sure. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Okay then, folks. Well, here's Dusty on the turntable in the pose that I kind of finally settled on the other day after a couple of hours of good playtime with him. I wanted to really lean into the cheek the cheeky look of him. So I've gone for the bazooka, sort of a little bit more casually draped over the shoulder with his hand on his belt and his rockets not on his back, but just sort of slung by his feet. I don't know what this is. He's in some sort of resting position, just casually waiting for them to, for the enemy forces, for the Cobra forces to get just in bazooka range so that he can cause some havoc with his rockets. And yeah, there we go. And final thoughts kind of time. I'm happy with Bazooka. I'm rarely unhappy with a G.I. Joe classified figure. They are just of great standard and quality. There are a couple of nitpicks. The paint application situation with the hair and a few dodgy slapdash paint applications throughout the body. The thing with the belt that's going on, the odd bow in the legs that I only briefly mentioned before, but you can see it a bit more here as he spins round. These little nitpicks, this little bit at the back of the bazooka that keeps popping off all the time. So there are annoyances. It's not all roses, but the overall experience has not been affected by those smaller aspects of niggles, and so that's what you weigh up. There's much more in the pros column than there is in the cons column. Would I have liked a little bit more in the accessory range? Yes, I would. I banged on about it a lot before, so I'm not going to bang on about it again now. But overall, I think he's a great visual experience. He's a great play experience. He looks great on the shelf. Brilliant shelf presence in amongst all the other Joes. Articulation is up to the usual standard. It's all good. Just some minor QC stuff, which is concerning in the big picture. I hope G.I. Joe Classified Series isn't going the way of Marvel Legends, and as they cut corners to reduce costs, we start seeing more and more of this. Let's keep fingers crossed that I'm not just being a pessimist there. But overall, yeah, he's a fabulous G.I. Joe Classified Series experience, up to the standard we've come to know and love. So there we go. I would recommend Bazooka, a Tiger Force Bazooka, if you're thinking about picking one up. Although, obviously, if you're a traditionalist and you just want the old school look, then you might want to hang on, because I suspect it'll be the same figure, just a repaint. So there we are. If you've enjoyed my review today, folks, please do take a moment to give me a like and subscribe. I know that 70% of you out there watching these vids are not currently subscribed to the channel, so please do take a moment to click that button and join the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles community. I've been Chris. I've been so happy to have you join me here today. This is my last video of the year, so I'm wishing everybody a wonderful festive season. I hope you have a lovely break over the end of December and the new year, and I'll catch you all in 2023. All right, well, take it easy, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.